A few months ago, I was very lucky to have the opportunity to film the brand new Polestar 4 at eCar Expo here in Oslo. But at that event, I had very limited time with the car, only about 20-25 minutes to make a whole video and get all the shots I wanted. So of course, I didn't have nearly enough time to show you everything I wanted about this car and everything that is important. So therefore, in this video, we're gonna take a deep dive into the exterior, the interior. We're going to take a look at the infotainment system and also test out the Harman Kardon stereo in this Polestar 4. So if you like this video, if you like the Polestar 4, Polestar in general, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that notification bell down below. At the end of May, I'm actually flying down to Madrid to the world premiere drive of the Polestar 3 and the Polestar 4. I've actually driven this car on an ice track in the north of Sweden with Chief Engineer Joachim Rydholm. So I'm going to link that video down below if you want to check that out. So I'm the very few lucky people in the world outside of Polestar who have actually driven the Polestar 3. But I'm really excited to travel down to Madrid to drive this on public roads for the first time. And then a few weeks after that, I'm actually going on a meet and greet tour with Polestar at Polestar Spaces in Oslo, Stockholm, Gothenburg, and Copenhagen. So comment down below if that is something you want to, well, join, if you want to come and meet me and check out the Polestar 3, the Polestar 4, and also the Polestar 2. The Polestar 4 wears Polestar's latest corporate face and their new headlight design called the dual blade headlight design. So with the Polestar 1, we saw the Thorshammer headlight design we see in Volvos, and then in the Polestar 2, we saw a little bit of an evolution on that headlight design. And then come Polestar 3, we see the actual headlights here, or these LED DRL parts splitting into two different sections. But it's first in this vehicle we see them actually separated and having this, really nice new signature design that we actually saw first with the Polestar preset. But this is the first car coming to market because this car is actually already launched in China that has this headlight design. Also, since this is an EV and built on a pure electric platform, there is no compromise with the design, and they've been able to make the front here and the hood really, really low. It just slopes down. No need for any air inlets up here. No need to blank any grills, but it does have a little bit of a grill down here, but that is just for cooling. You need cooling for the battery. You also need cooling for the radiator, for the AC, and also cooling for brakes. But hopefully, this being, completely closed off on the top and also having a sloping angle here, it's gonna make this very aerodynamic, but we'll find that out once I get to test drive this in Spain in a few weeks. So I'm really excited about that. But overall, I do think it is a very attractive design. I really do like the new Polestar corporate face or their new front end styling because I think it is very unique. And is it even prettier than what Volvo are doing with their latest Thorshammer headlight design we've seen in the EX30 and EX90? I don't know, maybe. Let me know down below, guys. Do you prefer the dual blade headlight design of the Polestar or the Thorshammer LED headlight design of Volvo? The vehicle we have here is a display vehicle. It's not even a prototype. So the downside of that is we're not able to move the car because I wanted to move it just a meter forward or two so I could get a better angle of the profile and of the side, but there is a wall here, so I'm not able to get a better angle, so you just have to bear with me, guys. But these are actually displayed at Polestar Spaces across Norway and the world, so if you want to go check these out in person, you can go to a Polestar Space, or you can go to my greet and meet tour that I'm having in mid-June. It's up to you guys. But what's interesting about the Polestar 4 is that Polestar market this as a coupe SUV, and I don't necessarily see that. Let me know down below what you guys think. Do you think this is a coupe, an SUV, or a coupe SUV? I mean, I kind of get what they're saying, but I don't really see the SUV part because it's not very tall. I mean, the ground clearance is a little bit higher than what you'd find in a Mercedes EQE or a BMW i5 at 16.6 centimeters, and also it's about 4 to 5 centimeters taller. But it's not an SUV. Look how low it is. I mean, people are even discussing if the Polestar 3 is a real SUV, and that is about 8 centimeters taller than this again. But what is interesting is the overall shape. You know, I kind of get the coupe part more than the SUV part because it has this, you know, sloping fastback, and we're going to get to that a little bit later when we look at the rear end of this car. But I think even though the camera isn't getting the best angle, this is a very attractive car in profile. This also has, you know, body colored parts like the lower part of the side sails and also lower part of the bumper. That is an option. And I just think this with, you know, the performance pack wheels with the Swedish gold brakes, it just looks really, really nice. And I can't wait to see these out on the road. From this angle, I think the Polestar 4 is very attractive. I really like this rare light bar design. It has this 3D effect where it comes out of the body here. It just looks really nice, crisp and clear. And like the front headlight design, I think this is also very close to being a unique signature for Polestar, even though there are a lot of cars with, you know, a light bar rear taillight design. But I think this is one of the best ones, and from afar you're going to recognize this as a Polestar. And also really love the fact that the Polestar badges are body colored front and rear. But, you know, a very attractive fastback sloping rear deck design, but you can see here that this doesn't have a rear window. And the reason for that is that they wanted to keep this fastback shape, and they also wanted to have enough headroom for adults in the rear. And we're going to put that to the test when we get into the car and I show you the interior. But the point of that was to move the crash structure a little bit backwards in the roof to free up that space, because the crash structure, you know, takes a lot of space, and if it was here where it traditionally is in a car, it takes up headroom. They wanted to keep this shape, and they also wanted to have headroom. So the compromise is moving that crash structure a little bit longer back, but that meant also eating into the visibility where the rear window is. So they placed it here, and that means when you have a traditional mirror, you can't really see much out of the back, and that, you know, made them do the decision of removing the rear window altogether. Do you think that's a good decision? I don't necessarily think they, you know, had to remove this window, because I think letting more light into the cabin and also just having a window back there is nice, but the reason, well, is what they said. But let me know down below. I don't think it looks, you know, I think it looks really nice from the rear. I don't think this, you know, makes it look any worse or better. But I just think it's just not having a rear window may turn off a lot of people from this car. So what's even more interesting about this rear design is that when you press the button and you open up the trunk, it's actually a proper hatchback, which may seem weird because you don't see into the cabin, but you have this shelf here that you can fold down that gives you visibility into the cabin, and you can also even remove this altogether. And then it is a proper hatchback. You fold down the seats, you actually have the practicality of a hatchback like the Polestar 2 is. 526 liters, and you also have a little bit of underfloor storage. You do have a subwoofer there on this side instead of down here in you know, below the trunk. I think that's a really good decision to make it just, yeah, a little bit easier to use and to utilize that rear space. There is a frunk, and to open it you have to pull a lever here. You pull it twice, and what's nice about pulling it twice is that you don't have to unlatch it in the front. You just pull it up and it opens nicely. So this isn't the biggest frunk, even though there seems to be a lot of real estate here. You have your washer fluid refill here and stuff like that. That is something you're absolutely going to lose at some point in time. But you have you can lift up a lid here, and then you have a front here. It's only about 15 liters, so enough space for your cables. So not big at all. But yeah, it is what it is. The charging port is here at the rear on the driver's side, and it is actually power operated. So if I push here, it will actually pop out like that. That is really nice, and then you can press here to close it. And this is nicer than, I think, what you see in the Volvo EX90 and also the Polestar 3. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe that's, the advantage of being on a different platform. Also, this feels nicer. This is on a 400 volt architecture, but the cousin of this, the Zeekr 001, actually just got a facelift and is now on an 800 volt architecture. So that may come to this car in a future facelift, but now 400 volts, 10 to 80% in 31 minutes with a peak charging speed of 200 kilowatts. Another reason Polestar may be calling this a coupe is because of the frameless doors, which actually, they sound okay when the windows are down. Let's test it when the windows are up. It should feel and sound nicer without the window, moving about. So let's do a closing sound test. That's not too bad. Are there soft closed doors? No. I don't think that feels too bad. It's really warm in here. That's why I'm going to open up this door, or the window rather. I'll close the door. So this is, at first glance and at first impression, a really nice interior. I mean, it's kind of hard to place this car because of how Polestar marketed it and because of the size, but I've spent a few days now contemplating about it and doing a lot of research on this car and also competing vehicles, and I think this is very close in comparison when it comes to the range, the performance, the exterior size, and especially the interior dimensions, front cabin room, rear cabin room, and also cargo capacity to the Tesla Model S. Is actually closer to a Tesla Model S than a Tesla Model 3, Mercedes EQE sedan, and also BMW i5. So I think those three cars are this car's main competitors, at least on paper, when it comes to range, battery capacity. I mean, there are a few differences, like the BMW has a much smaller battery than this, and also the Tesla and the Mercedes, and then also the Tesla has, more cargo room on paper, but I think this has by far the biggest backseat we're gonna get to in a second, and also by far the nicest interior. So this week, I have alone a Mercedes EQE SUV 53 AMG, the top dog, with the carbon fiber steering wheel, with carbon fiber trim, all those niceties. But it isn't as nice when it comes to material quality here on the dashboard, and this doesn't even have the upgraded Nappa leather. You can have this with an even nicer material than this. This is, I think it's called Microtech, this type of wetsuit leather-like fabric, and also you have, recycled plastics as the fabric here. So there's even a trim above this. But with that being said, you have these really beautiful materials on top of the dashboard. You have different layers of materials. This is stitched. You have it down here, down below, also on the armrest, and even down low in the cabin, you have soft touch plastics. I mean, this thing is super impressive when it comes to interior materials. And also the roof is in a microfiber Alcantara-like of material. This though, even though this is cheaper than this material, it actually feels really nice. So I think quality-wise, when it comes to the perception of luxury and quality, this interior is better than the BMW i5, it's better than the Tesla Model S, and also the Mercedes EQE. Also visually, I know that this tablet design glued to the dashboard isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I actually think, the implementation here is really nice because it just looks super clean. So I've talked about the materials, also the switchgear is really nice, like the window switches, the door release here. This has a volume knob, which is something I absolutely love. You have a dual cup holders here, charging pad there. It's just a really nice place to be, and I can't wait to, test out this car and see the interior with Nappa leather, because I think, that super soft Nappa leather on the seats and possibly maybe somewhere on the dashboard is just going to elevate the feel of luxury. You're going to have that, beautiful Nappa leather smell. It's just going to, smell like an expensive Italian bag. So we're going to do the infotainment system in a different part of this video, but this is a 15.4-inch screen. We have a 10.4-inch in front of the driver, and also there is an optional head-up display if you get the Pro Pack or one of the packages. You have this 3-spoke steering wheel design with, this aluminum trim here on up top of the center at 12 o'clock, and it just feels really nice. Like this plastic here, it looks and feels much nicer than what we see with the Mercedes EQ products. It just feels high quality, and also the stocks, these feel really nice. You have a gear selector here. It just feels of high quality. It looks high quality. it is a really solid interior. And also, the seats are really comfortable. You have adjustable, thigh support here, which is manual. These seats just, they just feel really nice. And I love the fact that, okay, there isn't an adjustable headrest, but when I put my head back, it's actually in the perfect position where I like it. So top marks for the front of the cabin. I think this is better than anything at this price point. When it comes to the overall exterior length of this car, is actually a bit shorter than the other cars I mentioned, the Tesla Model S, BMW i5, and Mercedes EQE sedan. So you may be thinking, why are you comparing this car to those instead of like a Tesla Model 3, which this is actually closer to in overall exterior length? It's because of the wheelbase. The wheelbase of this is 3 meters or 2,999 millimeters. And I think if it's not the longest of all of these cars, it's up there with it. And I've sat in all of these cars. I've done videos on them, and I checked also the videos before I came to film this because I don't have everything in memory. And the rear legroom in this car is by far the best. I think the Mercedes EQE actually has the second best of all of those cars, or the best of all those cars, second best when you compare it to this. But this is like just so much bigger than any of those cars. The seats are also just super comfortable in the rear, and this is where we have that rear headroom, because even though the sloping roof, I have this much headroom, and I'm 5'10", 5'11", about 178 to 180 centimeters, depending if I'm wearing shoes or not. And this is just super, super spacious, this rear. And also it has another party trick where you can fold down this armrest, and you can also recline the rear seat. So it's just super comfortable. When it's in the upright position, you're sitting, really nice. You have a lot of headroom, a lot of knee room. The only thing that I don't like about this is the foot room, because of the battery pack here. Other cars do it differently. They make kind of a garage under the front seats. So this is set to my driving position. I like to sit low, and that means I can't put my feet under the front seats. But there's so much room here that it really doesn't matter. But that is nitpicking. So you have rear climate control here. The materials also in the rear here are as nice as they are in the front. Just a lot of beautiful details here. Everything just feels super high quality. I mean, this is an impressive cabin. And I also think you have some cup holders here or here. Here you have some cup holders. There you go. And this is just a place to maybe put your phone. It's just beautiful. Like, when's the last time you saw stitched leather on the center like this in the rear seats of any car? It's just a really beautiful interior. And even the middle seat, because the car is really wide, though here, still have this much headroom. In the middle here, I have more headroom than I have on the outboard seats in something like a Polestar 2. So if you like the Polestar 2 and maybe thinking it's a little bit too small for you, I think this definitely solves that problem. Even though this is a display vehicle, Polestar have assured me that the infotainment system here is proper and working and should be, what we see when the car is actually launched and comes to market. So the screen, as I said, is 15.4 inches across, and what you can immediately see is that this is actually in landscape versus portrait, which we've seen in the Polestar 1, 2, and 3. Why it's this way? I think it's because this car is based on the SEA platform. It's closely related to the Zeekr 001. And if they wanted to make this car come to market quickly, there are a few compromises that had to be made, and I think this is one of them. Like, just don't change this too much. And I think that's a nice decision, because software is actually what has delayed the Polestar 3 to market. So I think this was, a smart decision. Do I prefer landscape or portrait? Well, I actually prefer portrait myself, but I think this is nice either way. So 15.4 inches across, really nice size. I like that it's, deep into the dashboard, far away from the driver, so it's not overwhelming. It doesn't feel too big. I think it just, looks nice where it is. Could they have implemented it better into the dashboard? Probably, but I don't mind how it looks. So on the bottom here, you can see that we have a few shortcuts. We have a home button, we have apps, we have vehicle settings. We also have here, which is your shortcut to your heated steering wheel and heated seats. And then you also have your temperature here for your climate control for the driver and the passenger, and also your heated seats for the passenger. I like that this is here all the time, that you don't have to go into a menu like we saw, for example, in the Volvo EX30 where you have to press it and then you have to go into another menu. I like the fact that it's just readily available here all the time. You also have a shortcut to a 360 camera, and you also have, is this your mirror controls? And oh no, this is your heated front windscreen and also your defroster. That's really nice. And also have your Google services over there. Here at the, the main part of the screen, you can see we have a split setup here where you have your maps here, and then you also have your different apps over here. Is this customizable? I don't know. Maybe it's going to change depending on what you use, but I really like the fact that you have your Spotify right here. You have your song information. You also have your skip forward and backward and play pause. I like that it's there all the time. What happens if you press that? Oh, okay, so you can do different apps here. You can do Apple CarPlay, you can do different services. Okay, that's really nice actually. That is a smart implementation. I'm gonna connect my phone when I'm gonna do this test of the sound system. We're gonna do that later. Here you also have some vehicle settings. If I press this, okay, then you go right into the car status menu. That is really, really nice. So if I go back, okay, press your home menu to go back, and also here, this is really nice. So here you have your ambient light settings, which is in a planetary theme, which is really cool. So Mercury gives you this Mercury color. You also have here, this should be Venus. How does this work? Oh, you scroll. Venus, and it also gives you really cool information about, the planets. Like the average temperature on Venus is 464 degrees Celsius. Also the length of day. They should have also put, the atmosphere pressure at sea level would be really cool, because I think the pressure on Venus is really high, but it's just really cool, like nerdy stuff like that. I really do like that. Earth, average temperature 15 degrees, day length 24 hours. We should know that. The diameter, also the gravity. So this is really cool. Like if you have kids, like showing them this is pretty cool. Mars, minus 65 degrees, and also the ambient lighting changes. Like Jupiter, now it's kind of like purple. When you go to Saturn, it's kind of like brown. And also we should see Uranus with blue, or like kind of like turquoise, and then also Neptune with blue. And then, yeah, those are the planets, and then the sun. That is really, really, really cool. I like that a lot. So when we're in this menu, you can see that we have shortcuts, drive, assist, charge, audio, exterior, interior settings, everything. Also, you can do adjustments here, seats. So there are a lot of settings, but I really do like the setup, the overview, like the interface here. It seems very simple and easy, and a lot of this can get very overwhelming quickly, because there are so many settings in modern cars. I just like the really clean design and interface here. So here you have shortcuts, quick control, so you have your glove box there. You have your open your tailgate. Yeah, that works, really cool. Can we close it also? Then it should say close tailgate though. Maybe they can correct that later. You can also adjust your steering wheel and your mirrors. Unfortunately, this doesn't have, physical control for your mirrors and your steering wheel. And I've shown that in my Volvo EX30 video, the 9 things I hate about that car, why that isn't always best case. Also your head-up display. So there are a lot of things you can adjust here, and it tells you to use your steering wheel controls here on the side to adjust the different things when you're in a setting. Drive modes. So range and performance, I've seen this setup here in the Polestar 3 when I got to drive it in the north of Sweden. And also your steering, yeah, probably because the car isn't drive, you can't adjust this. And also your one pedal drive modes, and also stability control, sport mode on and off, hill descent control, of course, that's interesting, creep on and off. So this has all the settings you expect from a Polestar, meaning that if you like a car with full one pedal driving, you can have that. If you want, one pedal driving low or standard, you can have that. If you want the car to creep and still have one pedal driving, you can have that. So assistance systems, your pilot assist, which is your, adaptive cruise control with auto steer. Also all of your, warnings, speed limit warning, and all of that. It remains to be seen how easy that is to turn off. I think there is there's some kind of, on the steering wheel, you have a shortcut somewhere. There we go. When I press down on the left D-pad, you can turn that on and off. So that is really, really nice. Driver alert and all of that stuff. So you have your charging menu here. This is where you put your peak charging or your maximum charge when you're at a home charger or at a DC charger. And then you also have your audio controls, which we're going to test once we, connect my phone and do the sound test of the stereo system. Exterior, you can do bending lights, all of that, welcome sequence. There are a lot of things, but I like the fact that it's so clean and easy to understand. You also have your vehicle settings and stuff like that. So if you go back here, you go to your home menu, you go back to this menu. And you also have apps here, Spotify built in, Play Store, because this is, an Android-based infotainment system, Apple CarPlay, which is really nice to see. Do you have Android Auto? Doesn't look like this has Android Auto yet. Maybe that's going to come in a later update. So overall, really nice interface. If we go into the climate menu, again, you can't see it probably, but below here you have an air vent for, in the center display here, but you can't adjust it, or in the center console here. You have to adjust it in this fashion here, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I have that in my Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo, which is my personal vehicle, and I said it once and I don't really think about it, but it would be easier to just have, a knob down there, but it works nicely. I like the placement of it. I like having cold air blowing to my face when it's hot outside, and this does that. So yeah, overall, really nice infotainment system, looks really clean, and yeah, I'm a fan of this. One of the best I've seen so far, and it does seem quite responsive. This also has, Google Maps with the Android-based route planning and charging planner, and that has shown to, or been proved to be, one of the best out there in the business. There isn't a whole lot to show you guys because this is a display vehicle, but this is what the driver display looks like. You can see your range to your left, your battery percentage there in the middle, and also, just vehicle status there on the right, and also if the car's in park, drive, or whatever. I think once you start driving this car, there's more information to be shown, but again, this is just a display vehicle that is parked here, but this is what the driver display screen looks like, at least. Like with every other audio test here on the channel, or test of sound systems, this isn't an objective test, and this isn't an instrumented test. This is purely subjective in my opinion. So you're not going to be able to hear accurately what this sound system sounds like, because it's all dependent on my equipment, my microphone, my camera, your hardware, your computer, your phone, your headphones, your speakers, and all of that. Though my microphone is a really nice high-end Sennheiser MKE2 Gold microphone, which I really love. I tested a lot of microphones in the past few years, and this is one of the microphones I absolutely love because of its flat sound profile, but also because I can actually scream into this microphone, play music loudly, and it doesn't distort or clip the audio at all. So hopefully it's just going to give you an impressions, but more of this has to do with my subjective opinion. I grew up with a lot of high-end audio in my house. We had home theaters when I grew up. And also, I've had a lot of high-end sound systems in different cars. I've had Bowers & Wilkins sound systems in 2 different Volvo XC90s. I've tested all of the other Bowers & Wilkins sound systems in the other Volvos. I've had Bang & Olufsen in different cars. I've had Bose in different cars. And I tested a lot of high-end audio sound systems. And I'm really into audio. For me, that is an important part. So with that being said, I've set these settings here. There are a few equalizer settings here. And you have your zones. You can do all seats, driver, rear, and stuff like that. You can also do surround. Usually I turn down all of these, sound boosters, like surround and stuff like that. Doesn't necessarily make it sound better in my opinion. So I try to go with it as flat sound profile as possible, and I start, adjusting the equalizer. Again, I haven't had any time in this car, so we're just gonna, play a song here. But before that, Harman Kardon sound system. This is an option in one of the packages. 12 speakers, 1400 watts if you go for this interior or the interior below it. If you go for the Napa leather, there are actually 2 extra speakers in each of the headrests, giving it a total of 16 speakers, but there's no more power output. So that's just to give you guys the specs and the stats. So with that out of the way, let's play the first song. This is a hip hop song by TJ Hickey. It's called Pressure. And this has a volume knob, and it clicks. It's really nice.
Every single day I feel it. Every single day I feel the pressure. Double up the work, let's make it extra. Working so my mother get a rest, yeah. Working like I never knew I'm blessed, yeah. Every single day I feel the pressure. Got Diamonds in my eyes, I know I'm special. In the gym, I gotta get my reps up. In the gym, I gotta get my work in. I can leave it out of chances, make it certain. Yeah, I had to lose it out to find my purpose. Yeah, but I won't do that twice, it made me nervous. Let's get to working. I'm like, check one, check two, gonna get it spins now. Want this, want that, gotta be stand out. Jokes on you, boy, tell me I'm man now. Every single day I feel the pressure. Double up the work, let's make it extra. Working so my mother get a rest, yeah. Working like I never knew I'm blessed, yeah. Every single day I feel the pressure.
So that's the first song, and I have to say, it is impressive. I'm just using the presets. I haven't had time to, dial this in. Usually after a week in a press car, I'm able to dial it in. For example, the Burmester sound systems in Mercedes EQ vehicles, at first when I hopped into the cars, I'm like, this doesn't sound good at all. But with a little bit of tweaking and, adjusting all the different settings and EQs, there's a lot of customizability in those sound systems. I've got those dialed in pretty good, and it's like, for that type of sound system in that vehicle, I'd say it's about an 8 out of 10. This is higher. I will put this like at a 9 out of 10, where, for example, your Bowers & Wilkins and your Volvo XC90s is like 10 out of 10. It's so great, those sound systems. So you have dynamic, soft, and voice presets. And what I like about this is that, and I'm going to test a different song now, but what I really like about this is that the vocals, the high ends, the high frequencies aren't too forward. That means you can turn it up really loudly. The volume was set to like 80-85%, and the vocals aren't too forward, so it doesn't become tiresome to listen to over time. The bass, the low frequencies are especially punchy. And a lot of sound systems may have a lot of bass, but it gets muddy. But the bass here is so punchy, and I like the fact that it seems like the sound stage is quite big, because you're sat back in the cabin and the speakers are all the way up front there. There's a lot of physical separation from where your ears are and also where the speakers are. And you can just, for example, the Volvo XC90 Bowers & Wilkins sound system, in my opinion, sounds like a whole point, like on a 1 to 10 scale, better than what you find in the Volvo S90 because of the physical separation, because the cabin is bigger. And I think, the speaker here, the tuning, the hardware, the power of the amplifier, and also just the speaker placement and the roominess of this cabin just makes a really good sound system. So let's see if we can do a different song here. Yeah, I have to say, this is an impressive sound system. Without having spent too much time in this car and listening to the sound system, I think I can confidently say that this is, if not the best, one of the absolute best sound systems in a sub 100,000 euro, 1 million kroner car. It is really, really impressive. Well, except for maybe Bowers & Wilkins in the Volvos, which if you can get those cars for less than that money. This is a really good sound system. It's a really good sound system. If they badged it Barrows and Wilkins, I wouldn't be complaining. So there we go, guys. That was a deep dive into the Polestar 4. Yes, this was a lengthy video. I hope you guys enjoyed it because I've been here for a few hours filming this video, and I still have a bunch of B-roll to film that, well, you guys have been seeing, during this video. But after spending a lot of time with this car, I can't wait to go to Spain in a few weeks' time to actually test drive this and see how it performs on the road. I mean, it looks great. The interior is really nice. It's roomy. It's comfortable. I really like the infotainment system. The stereo is kick-ass. And yeah, it remains to be seen how this car is to drive and how it compares to the competition. I mentioned Tesla Model S, Mercedes EQE, and also BMW i5. And when you look at this car, if you look at, for example, the long-range dual motor, which has 544 horsepower, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.8 seconds, top speed 200 kilometers an hour, and a usable battery capacity of 94 kilowatt hours with a WLTP rated range of 580 kilometers. It is very close to a lot of those other competitors, and in some regards, it outperforms them. And I spec'd one of these without the, the performance package because I actually don't prefer these wheels on this car. I'm not a huge fan of the gold seat belts, so I spec'd one with 21-inch wheels and the Nappa leather interior. But basically with all the things I wanted, trailer hitch, all the packages I wanted, 21-inch wheels, and yeah, am I missing something? Yeah, I think just about that, with everything like winter wheels and all of that, for a little less than 900,000 kroners here in Norway. And a comparable BMW i5 that's going to be an M60 xDrive is, yeah, it has a little bit more power than this, but the performance on paper is just about the same. That car is 1,250,000, so 350,000 kroners more than this. That is 30,000 euros more. And also the Tesla Model S with the same, all the bells and whistles, and not nearly as nice of an interior. And I'm pretty sure that this is going to drive a lot nicer than that car, though it has more performance, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.2 seconds, is 1,150,000. So still 250,000 euros, no, kroners more than this, 20,000 euros more than this. And then lastly, the Mercedes EQE. So if you want the same performance as this, you have to go for a 53 AMG 4MATIC Plus. And with a lot of equipment, that car is just close to 1.5 million. So a lot more money than this. Yeah, you can go for a 43 AMG if you don't need the performance, or you can even go for like a 350 Plus. But either way you spec it, this is cheaper than any Mercedes EQE. And this has a nicer interior, a much nicer exterior. And if this is anything close to drive as a Mercedes EQE, which I think is a really nice car to drive, yeah, I think Polestar have a winner on their hands. So when this first came out, kind of hard to categorize, kind of hard to place, and I really didn't understand this vehicle. But after having made a few videos and also, doing research and comparing this, size-wise and also price-wise and performance-wise, what you're getting for your money, I think it makes a lot of sense to compare to those vehicles. It just remains to be seen if this is as quiet, as comfortable as the i5, as the EQE, or the Tesla Model S. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this lengthy video, deep dive into the Polestar 4. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.